Good morning, Tampa Bay. Oh my God. How many we've had a victory every day of the week this past month or so. I feel like a victory Monday.
It's mostly because of the Lightning, but which is fine.
Yes. It's very true. But yeah, I mean, Lightning are kicking ass and taking names on the playoffs. Welcome to Channelside Sports in the Morning. I am Danny. Of course, you all know Evan, the L Bushman. I'm gonna call you that every time. I feel like it's a special.
It's totally fine. Totally
it's
fine.
Special to me.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm
got a great show lined up for you. Of course, you know we've got Henry Yoho from Bolts by the Bay joining us in just a moment to talk all about the Lightning and their comeback in the Eastern Conference Finals. Got a little Rays.
Well, hold on. Let's dial that back. Let's dial that back. Should we even call it a comeback? I mean, you won 4 straight. That's not really
to me. That's a collapse. But we're gonna get Henry's opinion on that bad boy too, and we'll talk all about it.
Okay. Let's do
it. All right, Henry. Good morning, sir. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining us as always. How are you feeling on this Victory Monday for our Tampa Bay Lightning, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm feeling great. I mean, it's a fun time of year, and if your home team's still playing, what more can you ask for?
Right, yeah. Of course, the Lightning advanced to their 3rd Stanley Cup Final. If you've lived in the Tampa Bay area and you've been under a rock for the last couple of days, what a comeback! What an epic comeback! And Evan and I just
I'm not calling it a comeback. I'm not. I know. I'm not calling it no. It's not a comeback.
Are you calling it, Henry? Are you calling it a collapse or are you calling it a comeback?
Yeah, I would of the two options there, I'd probably lean a little bit more towards comeback than collapse. I think it's been more about what the Lightning did rather than what the Rangers didn't do at this point. So I think that's the way that I'll look at it.
Isn't there like a bar that said if it's at 3-0,
certainly,
then that's a comeback. 2-0 is manageable. Like if it's 3-0, all you need is one game.
They were down 2-0 in game 3 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, if the opposing team is up 3-0, like to me, that's a bigger comeback than 2-0 because you still have like 2-0 is manageable. You still have like a couple of games that you can get out of this, which they didn't. I would say it was an epic destruction of the New York Rangers. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, if I had to lean more towards comeback or collapse, I think I'd be a little bit more in the comeback space. But what they did to them over 4 straight wins in the second round in a row, it's been certainly impressive.
It definitely is. They're actually the first team to advance to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals since every round became a best of 7 in 1987, which is another milestone for this Tampa Bay Lightning team. And are we on the verge of? I feel like we're already talking dynasty when it comes to this Lightning team, and that's before they even happen to win their 3rd straight Stanley Cup. I mean, they're rolling through the NHL. They're rolling through the league. And not every single dynasty team is going to win the championship every year, but they're going to be in contention and they're going to be one of the top 2 teams every single year, which is what we're seeing.
I would say the advancement of them going into their 3rd straight Stanley Cup, I would say that stamps it as a dynasty. Win or lose, I think it's still a dynasty.
Yeah.
Because the way because even this year with all the ups and downs that they had and injuries, and you really kind of thought this team might not go as far because of what the team had kind of produced, in the regular season. Now it's dynasty. I'm putting on the glasses because it's dynasty talk. I really do. And we haven't really had a dynasty in the NHL for a very, very long time.
Right.
So I would say dynasty.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, look at the teams that you would consider dynasties of the recent times in the NHL. Chicago, they won 3, but it came in 6 years. Pittsburgh won 2 in a row, and they'd won previously in 2009. So theirs were a little bit spaced out, 2 in a row, and the third time around they couldn't get out of round 2, lost to the eventual champions Washington that time around. And the LA Kings, they won 2 out of 3. So no one's even been able to get to this spot where the Lightning are in a long time. So I think that the dynasty conversation is certainly warranted, and if they're able to win their whole third in a row, then I keep coming back to immortality. That's what I think of with this team. That's what they have on the cusp of now.
I like that.
Henry, how do you feel about the last time a team winning 3 straight? You were not even on this earth yet.
Yeah, not even close to it, frankly. I was born in 1998, and that was the beginning of the 80s, so
God,
well before me.
Right.
God, I feel old.
I'm officially old as a Friday now, too. I'm beyond my mid-30s.
Henry, when you were born,
30s.
I was in high school, so let's just tell you that.
You gotta love it.
I think for me, what the big difference was in this particular game, being Game 6, is that they really put the clamps on their defense. They really clamped down the New York Rangers offense. I mean, we're talking about if we're looking at shots by period. First period, the Rangers had 7. 6 in the second period, 8 in the third period. And we're looking at a team similarly to the Florida Panthers that can shoot the lights out when needed. I don't know if either of you ever heard, but there is a kid line on the New York Rangers roster. I don't know if ESPN's ever said that during their broadcasts or not, but they're fast and they shoot a lot and they score a lot. And if you have 12 takeaways and you're limiting 8 shots in one period, I mean, it's nearly impossible to win a game at that point.
Yeah, the team's commitment to defending, it's been there over the course of those 4 straight wins, holding an offense like this Rangers team to 1 goal at 5-on-5 over the 4 games. That's it right there. That's the reason they won. And whoever wins the 5-on-5 battle pretty much always wins the game. And they did a good job of staying out of the box enough to try to limit that high-flying power play that the Lightning really never got a hold of for the Rangers. So staying out of the box was important for them, and the way that they were able to shut down this team, 3 teams in a row that they've taken down a high-flying offense like they have, and they've got probably the best one still ahead of them now.
It just seemed like after Game 2, and I think Stamkos talked about this in the post-game press conference, or he had when after they won Game 6, was the 9-game layoff wasn't really what they wanted to have, and then they came out sluggish, and all of a sudden Game 3 was just kind of a turnaround. It almost seemed like too they put the knee on the neck when it came to the Rangers, even when it came to like fighting too. Like when the Rangers and the Lightning players were fighting, the Lightning players were just dominant, even fighting too. So it was more or less, we're the champs. You're not going to do this to us. We're the champs and all. And it just seems to me that it just seemed locked in after Game 3, and it was all sailing after that. And I loved watching montages on TikTok and YouTube of Rangers fans just being so crushed and disappointed about what had happened of the utmost collapse. And I'll agree with you guys. It was a collapse for the Rangers' part on all sides. Henry, going forward against Colorado, I mean, these teams really matched pretty well. I mean, they haven't really both teams haven't faced a team like they are about to face each other in the Stanley Cup Finals. What do you think are the keys to success going into the series against Colorado?
Yeah, I think that they certainly have to try to slow them down. They're probably the fastest team that they've played over these last 3 cup runs, and they did a great job against Florida trying to slow them down coming through the middle of the ice, and they'll have to do that again against a team that has another level, unlike Florida did in round 2. So I think just slowing them down and try to minimize what they get out of their star players. Obviously, the checking line that the Lightning have with Cirelli, Hagel, and Killorn has done a great job of shutting down the other team's top guys. So if they're able to limit the top guys again for Colorado, I think that will certainly give the Lightning a great chance.
Will we see Braden Point in the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. The tone has changed quite a bit, especially even since the last time we've talked. I believe the term it was extremely probable or extremely likely that we'll see him in the final. So that makes you feel good that he's going to be in there at some point, whether it's from the start or not. Will still be determined, but you got to think whenever he comes back at some point, it'll be quite an injection of energy and life to the team.
It's almost like a pre-planned deal with him because he sat out pretty much all the playoffs, and now during the Stanley Cup, it's like, okay, you're good to go now.
Yeah, his it seemed to have improved significantly the way that he was feeling. Of course, the Rangers series, it sounded like they could have thrown him in there if they felt it was necessary. He wasn't ruled out days of games, and Game 6 even, it was a question if he would take the warm-up and potentially play. So I think that he was ready, and they felt that the need wasn't quite there yet to try to push it. But with the task they have at hand now, I think that you can certainly expect him in the lineup at some point.
I think what they were saying, they being like John Cooper and the coaching staff and even the roster to an extent, was, hey, look, Braden Point is our best scorer in the playoffs. We can win, and we're going to show you that we can win without Braden Point playing. Andre Palat now has the most game-winning goals in Lightning playoff history, and he's also the only NHL player to have 2 game-winning goals in back-to-back games in the playoffs. They came back down 2-0 in Game 3, down 2-0 in the series without Braden Point. We can talk about the sweep at the Panthers. That's whatever. That's the Panthers got further than they've gotten since 1996. Henry wasn't even born. We've already established this. The last time the Panthers were out of the first round in the playoffs, right? So to me, that just goes to show you, because every season it's like, oh, well, the Lightning didn't win a real cup. They had a shortened season. They had the bubble season. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. What's the excuse this year? Rangers fans will sit there and go, oh, well, they played 20 games in 40 days. Whose fault is that? If you can't close out the series before Game 7, rest is not a luxury you're going to get when it comes to the playoffs. Was it, the referees help? The referees are not going to help the Tampa Bay Lightning win 4 straight games and come back down 2-0 in Game 3.
They sure didn't help in this series at all. The more calls were against the Lightning in this series.
Right. The Lightning took more penalties this series, and knowing that the Rangers have a very potent power play, they were still able to stop it for the most part. Those were the only goals that the Rangers were scoring. I think they scored one, correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, 1 even strength goal from Game 3 on.
Correct.
Yep, that was the mark. The power play was the only thing really keeping them afloat.
Yep.
Craziness.
And that was their one goal, of course, in Game 6, when honestly I thought that they were dead at that point. So that was the only thing bringing them back in it.
Right. It's like I said, to me, it's just, look, Vazzy has now allowed just 1 goal. I wish we would have kept that shutout streak going alive for him in series clinching games, but 1 goal and 200 shots. I think we can live with that. That's a .995 save percentage.
I can't live with that at all. No, can't do it. I'm just kidding.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
That is just embarrassing. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the team to beat. I know Colorado. Look, Colorado's had a couple of days off. We saw firsthand experience what happens when you've got an extended period of time off. You're going to come out a little sluggish. It doesn't matter how good your team is, because outside of this season with the Colorado Avalanche, the Lightning are the team to beat. And they came out sluggish. They've got all of this veteran leadership, and it just happens. You're a human being. Shit like that's going to happen, Game 1, I'm expecting the Lightning to come out firing on all cylinders. They've got the momentum heading into the finals, and now they are legitimately defending their championship. We say it every season, the defending champs are the defending champs. Yeah, but now you're in the final, literally defending your championship. So it's completely different to me.
Yeah, we saw how how the rest affected the Lightning. I think the Avalanche are looking at the same 9 days or so, and we saw the effects of that in the first 2 games, how that affected the Lightning. So I think if the Lightning are able to get themselves at least one out of Colorado, take advantage of maybe some sluggishness from them out of the gate, then that can go a long way towards their ultimate goal. I think if they can come away with a split, that'd be fine. If they could come away with 2, if the Avalanche are a little slow to join the party, then that'd be incredible as well. But I think that they would have to take advantage and get something out of the first 2 games for sure.
I checked the betting odds right now that the Avalanche are the favorites, so the Lightning are coming in as the underdog in the Stanley Cups Finals.
Yeah, I think rightfully so. I mean, I think
I'm glad. I'd
Yeah.
rather them be the underdog than the favorite too as well. So that's going to prove if they win, it's going to prove a lot of people wrong. So
yeah, Lightning have done it as both.
Yep.
I don't think they care one bit. They like the attention not on them, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I find it odd, and I know the Avalanche are playing lights out this season, but it's still such an odd feeling because I've never seen this, and I've put some money down on sports over the years. I rarely have ever seen back-to-back champions being the underdogs that have the same roster essentially as they did the previous season that they won. That's just a weird feeling for me. And like Evan said, I'm okay with that. I'd rather that's what we do in Tampa. We are the underdog. We weren't supposed to win the first one, let alone 2 in a row. We got swept by Columbus. Yeah, and James said it. James is waiting to jump in here. He said it. We are undefeated in the playoffs ever since the Columbus sweep, and there it is. Like that's what the Lightning do. They defy the odds, and it doesn't matter what you're going to say about referees or salary cap. Look, Braden Point. You can't say, oh, well, they're faking a Braden Point injury, right? You can't say that. Like, if you wanted to use the Nikita Kucherov, oh, well, they're faking the injury so they could get under the salary cap and sign all these players, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's always all of these different talking points from the haters, right? that are like, oh, well, this is reasons why so-and-so couldn't do this, or reasons why such and such couldn't do that. And they're giving you no reasons anymore.
Yeah, it's always something for anyone that wants to try to knock what they've done. The bubble playoffs or the salary cap, shortened seasons, limited crowd. This is just another challenge, 82-game season, full crowds the entire way. And here they are again. So there's really nothing you can say at this point to try to knock what they've done, and opinions of others don't really matter at this point. And I think that anybody that really cares in the world of hockey certainly respects what they've done, and I think the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think fans are going to say what fans want to say.
Tickets go on sale in about 1 hour, guys. They're already up on StubHub with the average ticket price going for. I want you guys to guess real quick before I tell you. Don't look.
Average ticket price?
Average ticket price, and that we're starting at the 300s, by the way. So take your guess. Don't Google this.
Hands up, Henry.
These are on the third-party website, so I'm going from StubHub. So average ticket price for Game 1 at home.
Yeah, I feel I would be kind of going off of what I saw for like the secondary markets, like average from the last round, which was like over 500 or so.
You're close. You're close. It is over 500. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
average ticket price going into 300 level right now. This is on the third party market, which is StubHub. It's about $700 for the third level.
Yeah, understandable, and I've seen it spend even more.
Yep.
Out in Colorado.
And for first level tickets, you're going about $2,000 per ticket. And that's on the third party market. We don't know how much they are going off of Ticketmaster, which will be in about an hour or so.
Mm-hmm.
This is just crazy.
If you got $2,000, spend it while you can. If not, well, I'll be watching from home, or maybe I'll take a trip up to Thunder Alley and watch it there.
if you're a Lightning, or I'm sorry, if you're an Avalanche fan, don't drop $2,000 on Game 1 tickets. Your team was off for 9 days. Like, I would hate to spend $2,000 and leave wherever I spent that money pissed off.
So it's official right now in the Colorado. So Colorado's first game, which is the actual Game 1 in Colorado, average ticket prices are $900, and that's for the third level. And you're looking about the same for first level, which is about $2,000.
Yeah, understandable. It's been over 20 years since they've made it this far. So
goddamn inflation.
Yeah.
How
quickly do you think Emily's going to sell it for the watch party for Game 1? Because those tickets aren't available yet.
Quick.
Those are probably go up in about an hour, too.
Yeah, they'll probably go. Tickets go on sale for that too in about an hour or two as well. So I think those will go quick.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Nobody does watch parties like the Lightning. I saw a tweet that was showing the Lightning's watch party for, I think it was Game 5. And they're like, man, just think of what the Rays could do if they embraced the city and they did these watch parties like the Lightning. They're showing, like, they got the horns, there's pyro, Greg is there, Thunderbug is there, everybody's there, and it's like a game, but without the actual game.
I was gonna say, like, the actual watch parties were almost as enjoyable as watching the inside the arena. Like, they were nuts. Yeah. People were taking videos from the outside. I know I had a couple friends that were in the game for Game 6, and they were going outside in the terrace and shooting video of when Stamkos scored the second goal, and it was just going. It was pandemonium out there. So it was nuts.
Yeah. Those watch parties, it seems like it even is just as much as the real game when the team's on the road. And It's fun to see the way that, everyone comes together to support this team and this community, whether it's at the games or anything. It's a fun time of year. Everyone's getting behind it.
It's the culture. It's the culture that the Lightning have created, and it would be nice. The Bucs have a good culture around here just because it's football. Everybody loves football, right? Like, it's hard to say, well, the Bucs don't really do much. But when it comes to, like, the Bucs don't have watch parties. We have watch parties for the Bucs, right? We partner with sports bars and go, hey, here's a watch party for the Bucs. The Lightning do it on their own. These are the official Tampa Bay Lightning watch parties. The Rays don't do it. It's that culture, and I really wish that even the Buccaneers, who are a damn good team, and obviously they won the Super Bowl recently, I wish that they would do these things like the Tampa Bay Lightning do, because it just embraces the community. I know Evan and I have talked about this. Henry, you and I haven't really talked about this. How many times do you talk to fans that are Lightning fans, but then they're not fans of the Bucs or they're not fans of the Rays because they're not originally from here? And it's that culture that the Lightning community creates to where you go, I have to be a part of this.
Yeah. I think back to, my time in high school and everything. And hockey was sort of my thing. It was the Lightning were kind of my team. If you didn't really care about hockey, you just didn't care. Football will always be the biggest, and understandably so in a market like this. But, when playoffs came around, everyone was a fan, Everyone was following along just because it was fun. And whether you really cared about hockey or not, everyone cared, or everyone enjoyed going to games, whether you were really a hockey fan or not, just because it's fun. It's something that everyone can get behind, whether regardless of your level of engagement with the team. And I think that's sort of a really fun thing that everyone sort of gets behind this time of year. And, when you got a winner, that's how you're going to grow your fan base for sure.
So I'm going to ask both of you guys this. What is your first memory of being a Tampa Bay Lightning fan?
This will date me. So I remember wearing Tampa. I went to elementary school as a Tampa Bay Lightning player for Halloween.
Okay.
When they were in the original outfits, which is like a long time ago. So yeah, that dates me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about the 90s, fellas. That's 90s.
Yeah, for me, I didn't spend the earliest parts of my childhood living here in the Tampa area, and my family, they were both from Tampa, and they lived here when there was no team. long before there was ever a thought of a team. And so my family didn't really have much of a background in hockey or anything like that living here. So my first memory was my family was in the middle of a move from Colorado to Texas, and that was in the summer of 2004. And my family was like, "Oh, the Tampa hockey team is playing in the final," and we were staying at a hotel the night of Game 7, and that was it for me. Right from there, that was. And then when we moved to Florida, not too long afterwards, the team became very much part of our lives. So that was it for me before there was really ever any hockey in part of my life at any level.
Beautiful. I saw my first memory. This is also in the 90s. I don't believe it was the inaugural season. It was after they had moved to the Thunderdome in St. Pete. And I remember my mother had worked for a large resort down in Naples, and the director of HR, his son worked for the Lightning. So we got to come up and I got to meet Roman Hamrlik. That was my very first memory. Of course, they were playing the Red Wings because that's all that my family ever did was come and watch Red Wings games. But
it's not a bad memory.
No, but I mean, like for me, that was. I don't want to say I've been here since the beginning, right? Because it's taken me a little bit of time to come around to be like, all right, yeah, I have to just kind of cut off all ties with the Red Wings, especially being that there was a rivalry between the two at one point and not extremely long ago. But it's just that culture, man. That's really what it boils down to is the culture of the Tampa Bay Lightning here.
Yeah, for me, I can't help but think back to a lot of the times going to games, really not even very long ago, when all the home games would get taken over by opposing crowds. And, of course, a lot of those original six and northern teams have bigger followings, and they have people that come down here and people that live here. But the home games don't get taken over as much by opposing teams. And I remember, like, Detroit games, even when the Lightning were getting good, 2014, 2015, you still see half the crowd was in red, which is not so much the case anymore with any of those types of teams.
It kind of was like at the Trop last week when the Cardinals came into town. It was a lot of red shirts.
Yeah. The Rays, that's a completely different dynamic, and they still have that problem for sure.
Yep. All right, our next guest, Henry, you can stick around too. He's a huge Tampa Bay fan. He's the former co-host of Set the Sails podcast. Is James Ludeman, James Flash Ludeman. James, what's going on, buddy? Wearing his Tampa Bay T-shirt too as well. What's up, man?
Good morning. Fitting. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, man. Good, man. So happy Victory Monday to you. Thoughts on the series against the Rangers? We kind of had this little talk before. Did you think it was a comeback or was it more of a epic destruction of the Rangers?
I would say yes. Yes is the answer.
Okay, yes. Okay, I got you. I like that. I can respect that.
James is going to be running for office soon.
Yeah, yes.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
The only reason I say that is because, you look at the Rangers who have a very young team. Their team is very young. They have a lot of players. They got some free agency things that they're going to have to address. They got some issues at center that they're going to have to address. But I think the big thing is they took the Lightning to a place that I think nobody expected them to be in. The Rangers were not favored to come out of the Pittsburgh series. So that was the big thing. As a matter of fact, if you look at most of the beginning of the year predictions, a lot of them had the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Eastern Conference Final against Florida, as you guys mentioned earlier. That just goes to show you how good Tampa Bay has done in these playoffs to really take care of business. But, you got to give a lot of credit. Shesterkin was incredible. Even in Game 6,
according to ESPN, all games he was brilliant. That's all he said. Well, you could have done a drinking game with the amount of times that the ESPN commenters said Shesterkin was brilliant. I could have been drunk by the end of the game. They were so much on New York. I probably was. If we were doing a shot game by the Brilliant, every time Brilliant was brought up, I was probably going to be drunk.
Well, here's the thing. That game could have been 5-1 or 6-1. Because in all honesty,
True.
and I hate saying this, I don't want to, credit ESPN because a lot of what they do is just very annoying. But I thought very much so that he was. Shesterkin was really the reason that the game was as close as it was. I mean, you look at how many chances the Lightning had. There were several breakaways, several 2-on-1s. And if it wasn't for Shesterkin, who I love Vasilevsky, and I'm going to talk about him in just a second, but Shesterkin was the best goalie in the NHL this year. I mean, there's no argument to that. He's going to win the Vezina. It's really hands down, and I'm not trying to be a New York homer here, but this is exactly what it was. I mean, you had two of the best goaltenders in the world. Both of them are the best in the world. The only difference is it came down to experience, and I think that's where I say yes to both, because you had the experience of the Lightning, who have done this consistently now for 3 years in a row, against the best goaltender in the world in Vasilevsky, against a team that is very young, has a lot of talent, but has not been in that position in a very long time. So I think the answer politically is yes to both, simply because of the fact that the Rangers had a stranglehold on this series against a Lightning team who was rested. Now, I will say, I don't think the first two games were indicative of what we saw. I think a game and a half of this was the Rangers series to win. But if you look at the end of game 2, that's when things really started to turn around. You get 3-2 at the end of the game, and then of course the junk goal. But the Lightning really started to turn it on toward the end of game 2, and I thought that was good. So, the Lightning really did what they had to do. They got it done. They railed off 4 straight. And here's the thing about Colorado, and I know we're going to talk at nausea about it, but the thing about Colorado is this. Look at the teams that the Lightning have played. You played the Leafs, who are a faster team than Tampa. You played Florida, who, granted, they got swept, but they were still a faster team. They won the President's Trophy. I mean, they're not just some bum team. They got talent, and they were faster. And the Rangers are by far the fastest team that the Lightning have faced to this point. And what have the Lightning done? They have slowed down every team that is faster than them. And that's where this series is going to be won if you slow down McKinnon. That to me is going to be the guy to watch. I know there's other, players who have done very well for them. The goaltending situation in Colorado is very up in the air right now. I mean, if you look at Colorado media, they're sitting there going, what are we going to do at goalie? Because they're still trying to figure that out. Their goaltending is not consistent, and that's where it's going to be won. But the Lightning, I give the Lightning a lot of credit on their ability to be very well coached and to see who they're playing and to slow the game down. And I think that's what you saw in the Rangers series. They finally realized what the ticket was, and that was the blue line play, to slow them down at the blue line and not allow them to make the play, the Rangers to make the plays to move fast. So definitely a good thing for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think ESPN did mention it in the last game. They said that the Lightning have basically put a bar at the blue line, and there was a period of time where they just could not advance the puck into the Lightning zone, and it was always in the neutral zone, or the Lightning were controlling it, and the Rangers were on defense. So it's really, if you look at, I think the Hockey Writers put out an article and they said the Tampa Bay Lightning are continuing to win despite their offense not being as good as it once was. And that just goes to show you that, very similar to the NFL, maybe the NFL of old, since it's kind of a ticky-tack league now, but a defense is what wins your championships.
Yeah, it comes back to me that this team is not quite as high-powered on the offensive end at the moment, especially without Point having been in the lineup. And they've just had to commit to defending as a team and then limiting the chances. That's how they're going to win, not giving up anything. Keep coming back to 1 goal allowed at 5-on-5 over the last 4 games. That's it right there.
Yep.
If you're not giving up anything, they have to like where they're at. And the goals are going to come. There's no doubt that they're going to get their goals, especially against Colorado now. That that's the biggest thing for me is the goaltending is very up in the air with who is even going to be in net. I think if you're questioning who's going to be in goal for game 1 of any playoff run or any series, I think that you're in a bit of trouble. And
You're
the Lightning, Yeah, the Lightning faced the best goalie in round 3. The best goalie is behind him now, and you don't even know who's going to be in net for Colorado at the moment between injuries and everything they've got going on. So they've got a problem on their hands that the Lightning don't necessarily have to worry about.
All right, guys, let's do some early bird predictions. Who do we got in the Stanley Cup?
We'll start with our 2 guests here. We'll let James hit it off first. He's the lead off.
So Vasilevsky in his last 8 clinching games has saved 219 out of his last 222 shots. I mean, that you can't even write that with a straight face, let alone say it. The key to this series, and I think you made a great point just now, the best goaltender is behind you. I think that's really going to benefit. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from Colorado because they're the Cup favorites. They've been the Cup favorites all season long. A lot of people who picked the Stanley Cup Final did so, picking Colorado to be in this position, to be in this Stanley Cup Final. Some had the Lightning, but a lot of people didn't, so I think that kind of works in our favor, as El Bushman said earlier. I think this thing goes the distance. I really do. I see this being easily a 7-game series. I am going to go Tampa in 7. And I only say that because of Vasilevsky. I mean, that's really the biggest thing. Like, I think Colorado's going to come out firing. I know they've had the rest, and there is going to be some rust. But I'm not sure that Game 1 is just going to be a complete wash either. Because I really think that this team is just too talented offensively for Colorado to just sit and be a wash. Now the same could have been said for us, but I think for us, I think the big thing is if you're going to win a game in Colorado, got to be Game 1. You've got to start the tone early. And I think having 3 days rest for Tampa Bay is a perfect number to sit there and have. So I'm going to go Bolts in 7. I just think that the experience factor is going to be too much. Although, again, I'm not – I'm like right there. Like you could pick either or, and I still think it's going to be an amazing series. But I think that the defense for Tampa Bay is just a little bit better than it is for Colorado. So I'm going to go Vasilevsky is going to really put on a show in Game 7 in Colorado, and I think Bolts in 7. That's what I got.
Cool.
Yeah, I've been saying I believe that this is the toughest team that Lightning will have played over these last 3 runs. I think that this team is the deepest. They've got the highest end offensive output. I think that the Lightning can defend on a level that the Avalanche haven't seen yet. Try to slow them down. And, for me, I always come back to goaltending. It might be a bit of an oversimplification of things, but I think that usually whoever has the better goalie wins. Whoever has the better goalie playing at that point in time wins. And, between the experience and everything of the team, I think it'll be, Vasilevsky for me. That's the difference. That's all I have to see. And I know that the Lightning have better goaltending. We don't even know who's going to be in net for Colorado, like we said. And that's enough for me. I'll take the Lightning in 6 games. I'd like to see them win at home. So
I'm the same way. I think Lightning in 6. I think what we've seen in during this playoff run is we've seen a team that has put it on defensively. And when you can stop the puck from advancing, and you can lead basically every game that they have won in takeaways by almost double. When you've got Andrei Vasilevsky in goal, I think you can win these close games. They've done this without their most potent playoff scorer in Braden Point. He will be back at some point during this series. Maybe not Game 1, but it might be Game 2 through however long the series goes. I think it'll be 6 because I strongly believe that what I've watched, especially over these last 4 games, is that this is the Tampa Bay Lightning team that can really, when they want to, they can shut your offense down no matter how good, how high of an output your offense is. And they can really kind of control their own destiny when it comes to lifting Lord Stanley's Cup again. And to Henry's point, I just want to see him do it at home, and I think that they are good enough to where they can make that happen on their own.
I'm going to agree with Henry and also Danny. I got Lightning in 6. I think what we've seen so far, and it's a culmination of everything what you guys have said. And I think the biggest thing too is if Colorado doesn't know who they're going to put in the net, then I think with Tampa Bay, knowing that's going to be a huge advantage going forward for their offense. So it's going to be a fun series. I mean, Danny, we've said this before that for them to go for a three-peat, you've got to face the best, and this has been the best team in the league. So let's do it. Lightning in 6.
I just also like to say before we transition away from the Lightning, Tampa Bay Lightning, please, if you are listening to this show, which I know you are, if you are listening to this show, please pay Andre Palat his money. Just give the man the money.
Yes.
Just please pay this man. Okay? Will you pay this man? All right? Be done with it. Just sign the guy long term and call it a day. This man, I think that's the X factor to me. I love Braden Point, and I think if Braden Point's able to go, this is going to be a fun series. But man, Andre Palat just consistently in these playoffs and in previous playoffs, he's one of the best players on the ice every game. It's unbelievable. So man, just give that man his money and move on.
Pay me my money.
Throw the bag.
Throw the bag at him.
Yeah, I agree. He's been an unsung hero over the years, and especially these last 3 playoff runs, even more so. And the game-winning goals speak for themselves for him. This is the money time for him. He went regular season a time of 28 games or so without a goal, and that was fine. He was still doing the dirty work, still doing his thing. But this is his time now. Playoffs. This is when you need players like that to get you over the edge.
Yep.
Hey, I did have a question. I'm not trying to take over as host, Bushman, so don't hit me. Just real quick, lightning fast, real quick. No pun intended. Name one player in this series for the Lightning who's got to play better, who's got to step up, be that unsung hero. Because I think we all know Kucherov, Stamkos, and Palat. Those are your big 3. I think those 3 are going to play well. But who's a player that needs to go to that next level in this series for you? Just real quick.
I think for myself, the one that I come to is Alex Killorn. He's been very effective defensively, but there hasn't been – he hasn't scored yet in playoffs. He's been a playoff gamer the last 2 years, and his impact is still there. But I think that the Lightning really want some from him offensively, and I think that's somebody you're going to have to see get something going at some point. That's the one for me.
I'm going to say Braden Point. I mean, excuses, man. Injuries are injuries, man, bro. That's not an excuse not to play. Come on, man. Jeez. I'm only kidding, guys. I'm kidding. God. Guys with your serious faces on a Monday morning. But yeah, I would say Braden Point. God, these injuries, man. Jesus. Just play.
I'm gonna go with Henry on that. I'm gonna say Killer as well. I think there's been a lot of times, especially on offense, where you're like, oh, I didn't even realize that Killer was out there right now. He's just kind of been non-existent on offense, which is saying a lot for what the team is doing as a whole and getting the job done without everybody doing their own part. Because he's been known to be a good offensive player as well when it comes to playoff runs. So I'm gonna go with him. I'm also gonna say Pat Maroon. I know he's playing limited amounts of time. I know he's scored, but we really need an enforcer out there. We need a guy that's gonna just start throwing shoulders, not throwing elbows like Trouba, but throwing shoulders and kind of enforcing on the defensive side of like, hey, if you're coming in and you're coming around, I know Sergachev has been these last couple of games. He's been pretty he's been pretty hard hitting. Some of them have been after play cross checks to kind of start little skirmishes, which I'm okay with. But we need to have that sort of enforcer. That's like, hey, if you're going to bring the puck over to X side of the ice, you're going to get hit. And we don't really have that. And I think that's what we need.
I actually am going to say one that may shock you a little bit, but I think Victor Hedman has to have a really good series. I do. Like he's great. He's the best one of the best defenders in the league. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for him, in this Stanley Cup Final against this team that we're going to see, we're going to have a perfect game from Victor Hedman every night. And that's asking a lot. He doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, but I would love to see just a little more from him. We saw it a little bit in the later part of the Rangers series of that Victor Hedman, that guy who's fired up, things like that. But he's the catalyst of everything that happens defensively. I mean, you look at guys like Sergachev and Ruda. When those guys are on, it's generally because of Victor Hedman and how he's playing. So I would love to see Victor Hedman get a goal in this series at least. But I think if he doesn't do that, I'd like to see him just kind of step it up a little bit defensively, because I thought at times in the Rangers series, it was a little bit tougher, especially in the beginning part of the Rangers series. Like I said, in the end, he was kind of like the Victor Hedman we all expect. But I'd like to see it consistently for 6 or 7 games, however long it decides to go. So, for me, it's Victor Hedman. I think Hedman has to have a perfect series, and I believe he will. But that to me is the short answer.
Yep, I'm totally with you. I can't wait for Wednesday, Game 1, Stanley Cup Finals. Of course, going to be out in Colorado. Henry, Evan, James, are you guys going to the Game 1 watch party at Amalie, or what's going on with you guys?
I'm going to try.
Yeah, I didn't have any plans at the moment.
I'm going wholeheartedly. The show ends at 9, maybe a little after 9 today, because we still have a few things to talk about. We're running short on time.
James, where are you living at now? Are you in Alabama or Tennessee now?
No, I'm in Tennessee. I'm about 45 minutes from Nashville. So I've actually gotten to see these Avalanche up close and personal against Nashville in the first round. And I'm telling you, they're as good as advertised. That's why I'm saying this is going to go. I believe it's going to go 7, just simply because of what they're 12-2 in the playoffs, 2 sweeps in a row. I mean, that's impressive even in itself. So I've seen up close and personal what these guys can do. And I do love McKinnon. He's a young guy, but man, he is unbelievable with the puck in his hand, and him and McDavid. I know Edmonton got swept last round, but man, those two put on a show in that series. So McKinnon's, I'm not gonna lie, he's impressive. A guy I would love to have on this team, but he's a superstar, and I think your superstars have got to be big, and I think McKinnon's playing well, but Stamkos is also playing well, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see. But, yeah, I'm about 45 minutes from Nashville. So, no, I will not be attending the Game 1 watch party. I will be attending the Game 1 sitting at home in front of my 65-inch watch party.
That's the best, most economically sound watch party you could have, though.
That's the best one.
That is true.
You could buy a 12-pack of beer for the price you can get a tall boy at Amalie for. So, yeah, for sure. Oh, man. All right, Game 1. I'm excited. Henry, are you going? Are you going to be at the watch party?
Yeah, I didn't have any plans yet, but I might certainly be looking into that Wednesday night.
Yeah, when tickets go on sale, we'll all try to rendezvous. I know the missus and I are going to be down there for the first game, so we'll all try to rendezvous and get a little toast going or something there. I think it's time we got to talk about our boys now. Henry, we appreciate, as always, jumping on here. I'm sure we'll have you back on Wednesday morning to officially preview Game 1. We should have some official news about Braden Point. See if he's going to suit up for Game 1. Not looking likely, but we'll get it more official. Everybody, make sure you follow Henry on Twitter. Henry Yoho, of course, he is the managing editor of the Bolts by the Bay, which is Fansided's fantastic Tampa Bay Lightning website. Henry, Steven, and Noah always have great insight, and couldn't ask for a better journalist to join us. I told Henry he's basically becoming a co-host with us every morning during this Lightning playoff run, and it's a fantastic run. 283 straight sellouts for the team that, for a city that doesn't like hockey is pretty awesome. Henry, we will talk to you again on Wednesday. I appreciate you jumping on. As always, make sure you follow Henry and Bolts by the Bay.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to talking again here as this series goes along. So
the Rays, Not how we wanted to start. Not how we wanted to start a series.
Hey, yesterday's game was all right. I mean, they shut them out.
They finished okay. They finished. Look, if you can put a stamp on the series with a 6-0 win, I'm okay with that. Obviously, it didn't go how we wanted to coming off of a 3-game sweep, though.
Yep. Another inconsistencies with this team. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a very big theory that there is only one thing that is going to save the Rays. One thing. And it's never going to happen. But again, the Lightning watch this show, so I'm going to plead to them. Pay Andre Palat and Jeffrey Vinnick, just buy every Tampa Bay team, please. Just every one of them. Even the Bucks. Buy all of them. Buy every single one of them, please. Jeffrey Vinnick, save the Rays.
He's got stock in the Red Sox, James. He's not going to do it.
You know what? It's time to sell that stock. Move along. All right. If Jeffrey Vinnick buys this team, they're getting a new stadium and they'll be winners for the next 10 years.
That's probably.
I'm telling. I really believe. I'm telling you, I love Jeffrey Vinnick. You mentioned earlier about what he's done to embrace this community and how much work he's done. I know he'll never buy the Bucks, and that's another story for another day. You can spend a whole hour talking about ownership for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but man, I don't know. The Rays, you're right. It's just so inconsistent this year. It's honestly hard to watch because it's you get so high. You're like, oh, this team is just going in the right direction. They're going up. They're doing well.
Peaks and valleys, James. Peaks and valleys.
And the valleys are bad too.
They're very
it's
bad.
Not even
Grand Canyon sized valleys over here.
Well, James, let me ask you. We play the Yankees for a 3-game set, and then we play them again at the end of the month. And we've talked about this before about, is it possibly time to maybe start making calls about trades? Because obviously they need help. I mean, no, look, we're getting reinforcements back. We got Boz. He struggled on Saturday with only going 2 innings. But, I mean, that's kind of normal. I mean, he was injured for a long time. So he's got to get back in the groove, especially going against major league hitters. But they just lost Kittredge to Tommy John. Is it time for the Rays to start making phone calls and say, hey, we're going to start offering some players and trades to bring some people over? Is it time?
I don't know. They just don't do that though. Like
I know that's the thing. That's the thing. They don't do that. I know.
They don't do that.
Well, no. Here's the one. Hold on. They try to, and then they just get outbid by other teams. That's what happens.
True. Well, and that's the valuable argument is, how much is too much? Like who do you even put up? I mean, do you trade a Margot? Like, do you put him out there? I mean, he's a guy that is playing semi well. I would say he's not a superstar on this team. He's not a Rosarena, but he's playing at a high level still. What do you do with Kiermaier? Do you try to maybe get him out there?
Kiermaier's been playing some pretty good ball. He's been hitting. He's been hitting pretty good. So I mean, you can make that case. Hold on, James. Let me pose this to you. The Rays have had like the number 1 farm system in all of baseball. They're either number 1 or number 2 in all of baseball the past how many whatever years. Is it time for them just to stop being like, hey, we covet so many prospects, we're not going to make any kind of moves? Isn't it time for them to just be like, hey, for us to bring over a couple of people that are big time names? It's time for them just to say, look, we've got to like pull the trigger on some kind of huge blockbuster trade. Now, listen, they've done trades. I mean, you wouldn't really call them blockbuster trades because they're kind of mid-level trades, but isn't it time for them to be like, if we're going to be all in, if we're going to like go back for, try to capitalize on a 100-win season, we've got to really go all in and make trades that are going to bring in big names, even if they're rent a player for the next couple of months. But if for us to win a championship, we've got to do something.
Well, I will say for them to expect the Rays to make a blockbuster trade,
and I know it's not going to happen.
I mean, it's not going to happen. And
it's wishful thinking.
Let's just taper our expectations just
a
little. Let's bring it back. Okay, let's bring it back to the Rays' reality. And the Rays' reality is they want to covet as many prospects as they can. They're going to hold their chips.
Right.
And they can't afford to make a blockbuster trade. There's just no way. You're not going to get a big, huge name that's going to come to Tampa. Why would you? I mean, wouldn't you rather go to LA or New York or Boston or these bigger places that actually have a fan base, and I'm sorry to crap on the Rays fan base, but I'm a part of it. I've grown up in Tampa Bay, 98, first game. I was there. I know how it is. Like, this fan base.
You're preaching to the choir, brother. And we've talked about this before on other shows.
I know.
It's the ongoing thing with, the fan base that doesn't show up. I mean, look, It was an embarrassment last week when you had tons and tons of Cardinals fans in the Trop that all you saw was red shirts in the Trop last week against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But that's how it's been for years.
I know, that's how it's been.
Like, it's not a shock to me because it's been going on since 1998. Like,
and they seem like they're okay with that. Yeah. That's the problem for me. Is the ownership is okay with that?
Right.
Well, the ownership doesn't care about you. They don't care about me. They care about their money. And right now, that's that. And here's the thing: if you care about money, you have a funny way of showing it, because this is not what's going to get you people. That's why I'm saying Jeffrey Vinnick did things the right way. He saw the need. He saw that other teams traveled well. He saw that the community around him was falling apart, and he did something about it. You're not going to get that with this ownership. You're going to get, we'll every now and then we'll do a cool ticket giveaway, and that's how we'll get people into the door. Or we'll just really make it for the Bostons and the New Yorks, those guys who come down consistently. That's going to be our money weeks. I mean,
we'll have to have James on next. We'll have to have James on either tomorrow or the next couple of days to talk Rays, because I know James is a loaded cannon when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays and James. Before we get you out of here, what do the Rays need to do to stop being so inconsistent and get and rip off like an 11-game win streak? I mean, look what the Braves are doing. The Braves were sub 500 a couple weeks ago. Now they just ripped off, they're on a 10-game, 11-game winning streak. What do the Rays? Yeah. What do the Rays need to do to get something like that going?
Well, they've got to be more consistent. I mean, we've said it ad nauseum here, is they have to play consistent baseball. Their big name players have to be bigger. Rosie's got to play better. I mean, he's playing well, but he's got to play better. Kiermaier's doing well. Margot's doing well. G-Man Choi has been kind of up and down, but he's a guy that can hit the ball well when he's in on it. I'm going to give you a hot take before I go, and I'm going to tell you, this is really, you guys are probably going to fire me and never invite me back after the hot take. But I'm just gonna say it because this is how I felt since the hiring of Kevin Cash. This team will not win a World Series with Kevin Cash as the manager. It won't. I saw it when he took Blake Snell out. I knew it then. And I'm telling you, and this is exactly what's happened. Yes, they've had success. Yes, they've had a 100-win season. Great. That's all well and good. But what are you going to do to get to that next level? And the Rays haven't done it. And the moves that they're making in bullpen and things like that in these games that make absolutely no sense have been a catalyst for you not winning a World Series. I mean, how do you take I understand analytics are a part of the game, and that, again, this is a whole nother spiel, but I can't see this team winning with Kevin Cash as the manager. I can't do it. And now if they prove me wrong, great. They didn't prove me wrong last year. You won 100 games, you still didn't get there. I mean, it's very difficult for me. So I think what this team needs to do, if they're not serious about winning, you're just gonna have to fire sale, because it just seems like they don't care. It really does. It just seems like they don't care, and it's really bad.
What a note to leave this to get off the show with that hot take.
You heard him too. You're like, we're gonna get you out of here, and he's like, no,
hold on. Let me say something real quick.
I'm gonna get off the pedestal now, and I'm gonna go before we get yanked off the air. But anyway, no, I appreciate you guys, and look, yes, I would love to talk Rays sometime. Man, it has been a love-hate relationship with this team since '98 for me. I was 10 years old watching my first game, so I love the Rays. I do. I don't know what's going to happen with the stadium situation and everything else, but man, I just wish this team was playing better. And it's really frustrating to watch the ups and downs.
Yeah. Congratulations, James. You just became a Twitter poll. So,
hey, and I guarantee you, I'm going to lose that poll, because everybody thinks, well, we won 100 games. We went to the World Series during COVID. All these different things. That's great, but you're not winning. Like, that's the thing. You didn't win either one of those things. You didn't win a World Series against the Dodgers. You didn't win a World Series last year. So I mean, when is enough enough? If you want to be a World Series team, look at the Angels. They just fired Joe Madden, who saved the Cubs after 100 and some odd years because they lost 11 games in a row. The Rays aren't going to do that. The Rays aren't going to be committed to winning. Now, granted, the Angels have the greatest player in baseball on their team in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, who's right up there too. I mean, so they got some weapons, but I mean, when is enough going to be enough? You know, when are they going to make moves that actually make sense and actually go and build a winning team and a winning organization? That's where the failure starts, with the organization. So
all right, let's tease this for tomorrow, because I think this is I think you opened up a whole bunch of can of worms on this. I want to talk about this tomorrow. If you can come on tomorrow, I'd love to have you back on. We can talk about this, because I've been saying something like that for the past couple of years about maybe this is time for the Rays to move on. So let's table that maybe for tomorrow. We'll get into it. We'll get some more Rays people on to challenge and debate this. You are now a Twitter poll to see do you agree or disagree with James Ludeman about they will not win a World Series?
Well, they're going to disagree with me. Nobody likes me on Twitter.
You know what?
You're about to be a Channelside Sports graphic
right.
as soon as we get off the air as well. So
thanks for that. I'm glad I could give you free content. But before I go, real quick, I do just want to plug something you guys may not know about this. And Al Bushman, I know you don't know. James, Britt Buck, and I, we're getting away from the football side of things, and we're actually doing an NHL podcast, all NHL. It starts in the preseason of next season. We're calling it The Point, and we're going to talk all things NHL. So be looking out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I like
it.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, James, for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys.
Joining the show.
Yeah, man.
Well, that'll do it for us here at Channelside Sports in the morning. That was a good way to end the show, because that's a hot take. And honestly, you know, I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I'll save it for tomorrow.
We're going solo. We're going solos for these hot takes tomorrow too, because TikTok is going to blow us up.
Good.
I'm just letting you know that.
I like
so
that.
Make sure you've got the crust out of your eyes. Make sure we're ready to rock and roll. Channelside Sports in the morning. Make sure you follow us on all social media networks. Search for Channelside Sports Network. Hit the subscribe button and the bell on YouTube. That's how we grow. Everybody knows that. That's how you grow. YouTube is the end all be all when it comes to live streaming. But that's going to do it for us. I'm Danny. That is Evan. And we will see you guys tomorrow.